The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines. Rhea Miles sat at her station, eyes fixed on the swirling colors of the emotion grid. Each color represented a different feeling flowing from millions of humans across the galaxy. Blue for calm, green for hope, yellow for curiosity. Today the screen looked mostly blue, peaceful, just as it should. Rhea took a sip of her cold coffee, relaxing for a moment. Then it happened. The blue colors flickered. Sharp spikes of red and black shot across the grid, anger and fear. Her heart jumped. Alarms buzzed softly around her. Rhea's fingers flew over her console, pulling up reports. Outer colonies were experiencing sudden system failures, blackouts, transport accidents, even communication drops. All signs pointed to one cause: emotional overload. Hub control. This is Stabilizer Miles, she said into her comms. We have a level 3 emotional surge, requesting immediate scan of the outer sectors. A voice crackled back. Confirmed stabilizer, running full diagnostic. Rhea leaned closer to her screen. She had seen small spikes before, but never like this. Emotions affected technology. That much was known. When people felt too much, it strained the systems. But today, it wasn't natural. It was too sudden, too widespread. A flashing icon appeared. Message intercepted. Unknown source. Rhea opened it carefully. The message was simple, just 2 words glowing on the screen. Feel everything. Chills ran down her spine. Where did this come from? She whispered to herself. The grid pulsed again. More red, more black. It was spreading like a virus, reaching planets farther and farther from the hub. Control, she said urgently. We might have a targeted emotional attack. Understood, Stabilizer. We are escalating to threat level orange. Prepare for assignment. Assignment. That meant boots on the ground. Rhea would have to leave the safety of the hub and step into the chaos herself. She sat back, breathing deeply, trying to steady her own emotions. Panic would only make it worse. In the pit of her stomach, she knew one thing. This was just the beginning. Rhea stood in the hub's main briefing room, facing a large round table filled with commanders and specialists. The room felt cold and heavy, like the walls were made of stone instead of steel. On the big screen behind her, the intercepted message blinked. Feel everything. Commander Soren, an older man with deep lines on his face, cleared his throat. We have identified a possible source, he said. Draven Core. At the name, a murmur ran through the room. Rhea's chest tightened. She knew that name. Everyone at the hub did. Draven Core had once been the brightest mind in emotional science. He helped build the grid system that kept the galaxy stable. But 5 years ago, he had disappeared after a bitter fight with the hub's leaders. He believed the grid was wrong, that it trapped human emotions instead of helping them. Most thought he was dead. Rhea looked down at the file on her datapad. Draven's face stared back at her. Sharp features, cold eyes. 42 years old now. Under his picture the words status dangerous radical. Why now? Rhea asked. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly. Commander Soren sighed. We believe Draven has been building a movement, waiting for the right time to strike. If he's found a way to spread emotional surges, the entire network could collapse. The thought made Rhea feel hollow inside. Without the grid, life support systems would fail. Communications would break down. Travel would stop. Billions could die. We need you to find him, Soren said, locking eyes with her. You're the best stabilizer we have. Rhea nodded slowly. She didn't feel like the best. Not after what happened 3 years ago on Vega Colony. Her mind flashed to the memory, standing in a control room, watching helplessly as the grid cracked under a surge she hadn't been able to stop. Hundreds of lives lost. She had buried that guilt deep inside her. Now it rose again, sharp and bitter. I'll find him, Rhea said quietly. I'll stop him. As she left the room, her datapad buzzed. A message from Control. First lead located. Small colony on Carthus Prime. Strange emotional patterns detected. Rhea geared up quickly. Plain black suit. Lightweight armor. emotional dampeners strapped to her wrists. She checked her sidearm, though she hoped she wouldn't need it. Before boarding her shuttle, she paused by a wide window looking out into space. Stars stretched forever, cold and silent. Somewhere out there, Draven was waiting, and he was not the man he used to be. Neither was she. The shuttle broke through the thin atmosphere of Carthus Prime. Rhea gripped the edge of her seat as the ship bumped through turbulence. Below, the colony looked abandoned. Dark buildings, broken lights, streets empty. She landed near the old marketplace, her boots crunching against dusty ground. The air smelled burnt, like electricity had fried the sky itself. Carthus Prime used to be a peaceful farming colony. Now it was silent, dead. Rhea's wrist dampeners buzzed softly, picking up wild emotional signals. Fear, rage, sadness, all mixed together, heavy as smoke. She moved carefully between the stalls and empty houses. No sign of life. Then she heard it. A faint crackle of sound. A broadcast playing from a broken speaker nearby. She stepped closer. The message repeated, over and over. Feel everything. Break your chains. The voice was calm but powerful. It was Draven. No doubt. Rhea recorded the signal on her datapad. The emotional surges were not random. They were directed. Draven was using sound frequencies to push people's emotions into chaos. Her comm crackled. It was control. Stabilizer Miles. Report. Rhea kept her voice low. Carthus Prime is abandoned. Emotional patterns match Draven's known techniques. Request backup sweep teams. Negative. Control replied. We are stretched thin. Multiple colonies reporting similar incidents. You're on your own. Rhea cursed under her breath. She wasn't surprised. Draven wasn't just attacking one place. He was attacking everywhere. As she moved deeper into the colony, she saw signs of what had happened. Broken doors, scorch marks from panicked fights. Signs of people turning on each other when their emotions boiled over. At the center of the colony square, someone had painted a giant symbol, a heart, cracked down the middle. Beneath it the words "Feel everything." Rhea stood there, heart pounding. This was bigger than she thought. Draven wasn't just a rebel. He had followers now, people who believed in his message. People willing to burn everything down to be free. She tapped her comm again. Control, I need permission to trace the origin of the broadcast. Draven isn't far. Permission granted. Proceed with caution. She adjusted her sensors and picked up a faint trail leading east, toward the mountains beyond the colony. Rhea knew she couldn't stop to rest. Every minute gave Draven more time to spread his rebellion. As she started walking, a question gnawed at her. What if Draven was right? What if the grid was the real enemy? Not him. She pushed the thought away. Doubt could get her killed. Or worse, get billions killed. She walked faster, alone in the growing dark. The mountain path was rough and steep. Rocks shifted under Rhea's boots as she climbed higher, following the signal from her tracker. The cold air bit at her face. The sun was sinking, casting long shadows across the land. At the top of the ridge, she saw it. A small hidden base built into the side of the mountain. Lights flickered around the entrance, weak and unstable. The emotional energy around the base was thick, buzzing against her skin. Draven was here. She could feel it. Rhea moved carefully, keeping low. Her dampeners buzzed louder as she approached. The signal was strong. Draven's broadcast was coming from inside. She found a side door slightly open. Slipping through, she crept down a narrow metal hallway. Every step echoed. Every breath sounded too loud. At the end of the hall was a large room filled with old equipment, transmitters, servers, and giant cables running into the rock. In the center of the room, a man stood with his back to her, adjusting a control panel. Draven, Rhea said, her voice steady. He turned slowly. Travancore looked older than his photo. His hair was streaked with gray, and deep lines carved his face. But his eyes, cold, sharp, and alive, hadn't changed. I wondered when they would send you. Draven said. His voice was calm, almost friendly. Rhea kept her hand near her sidearm, but didn't draw it. "You're causing chaos across the galaxy," she said. "You need to stop this." Traven smiled sadly. "Chaos? No, Rhea. I'm freeing them. You can't see it yet, but you will." She stepped closer. "If you break the grid, people will die. Systems are already failing. Ships are stranded. Colonies are collapsing." "They're only collapsing because they were weak," Traven said. His voice grew harder. "Humanity was never meant to be tamed like animals. The hub stole our right to feel. I'm giving it back." Rhea shook her head. "We're connected to technology now. Without emotional stability, everything crashes. People need the grid to survive." Traven laughed softly. "No, they need freedom. Even if it's painful. Even if it means falling." He took a step toward her. "You know what I'm talking about, don't you?" he said quietly. "You remember Vega Colony?" Rhea froze. Her chest tightened. "You felt it," Traven continued. "You lost control. People died because of you. And still, they chained you to the grid, told you it wasn't your fault, told you to hide it away. They lied." The words cut deep. The memory she fought so hard to bury rose inside her. The screams, the panic, the powerless feeling of watching systems crash because her fear had spiked beyond control. "You're broken too, Rhea," Traven said. "Softer now, just like the rest of us. Stop pretending. Join me." For a moment, Rhea said nothing. The offer hung in the cold air between them. She could walk away from the burden, from the guilt. She could tear down the system that had made her feel weak and small. But then she thought about the colonies, the families, the children. They didn't deserve to die, because she was tired of carrying pain. "I'm not broken," she said finally. Her voice was low but firm. "And I'm not joining you." Traven's face hardened. "Then you're my enemy." The machines behind him hummed louder, preparing another broadcast wave. Rhea didn't hesitate. She fired a pulse shot into the control panel. Sparks flew. Traven cursed and ducked behind a console. The broadcast was delayed, but not stopped. Rhea turned and ran. She needed a new plan, and fast. As she sprinted into the cold night, the mountains echoed with Traven's voice, distorted by static. "Feel everything, or feel nothing at all." The shuttle shook violently. As Rhea flew back toward the galactic hub, alarms screamed in her ears. She gripped the controls, fighting to steady the ship. All around her, the grid was breaking apart. Reports flooded her console. Power failure on Titan outpost. Life support systems offline on Omega Station. Civil unrest spreading on Earth Central. The worst part, she could feel it. The emotional chaos wasn't just numbers or colors anymore. It pressed against her chest, heavy and raw. Fear, anger, sadness, billions of emotions, uncontrolled and wild. Draven's final broadcast had gone out. He had won. The hub, once the heart of the galaxy, was now barely holding together. Docking bays flickered in and out of power. Defense systems were down. Communication lines were flooded with panicked messages. Rhea's shuttle slammed into the emergency docking port. Sparks flew, metal groaned. She stumbled out, coughing from the smoke filling the corridors. Inside, it was worse. Lights flickered, sirens wailed. People ran through the halls, shouting and crying. Some fought each other. Some curled up on the floor, lost in terror. Her dampeners buzzed uselessly. They couldn't keep up with the storm. "Rhea," a voice called. It was Commander Soren, bleeding from a cut on his forehead. "We're losing control," he shouted over the noise. "The core's about to fail." The core was the hub's brain, the last piece of the grid, holding things together. If it went down, the galaxy would fall into complete darkness. "I'm going to the core," Rhea said. Soren grabbed her arm. "You can't fix this alone." "I have to try," she said, pulling free. She pushed through the chaos, heart pounding. Her mind raced. Draven's words echoed in her head. "Feel everything." No, she couldn't afford to drown in feeling now. She needed clarity. As she ran toward the core chamber, she realized the truth. Fighting Draven wasn't enough. She couldn't just destroy his broadcast. She needed something stronger, something new, not total control, not total chaos. Balance. Rhea skidded to a halt in front of the massive core doors. They were cracked and sparking, but still standing. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. The core room was a swirling storm of light and sound. Screens blinked wildly. Energy pulses slammed into the walls. In the center, the core itself, a floating crystal wrapped in cables, trembled under the weight of the emotional surge. Rhea knew she had one chance. She could rewrite the core's programming, create a new system that didn't suppress emotions completely, but absorbed and softened them, like a shock absorber. It would be dangerous. It might not work, but it was better than watching everything die. Hands shaking, she connected her datapad to the core's control panel. Code scrolled rapidly. Warnings flashed. System failure imminent. She pushed through the fear. Focused. Typed faster. Line by line, she rewrote the system, allowed space for fear, for anger, for grief, but also for hope, love, resilience. As the final line of code locked in, Rhea slammed her palm on the activate panel. The core flared bright, and then everything went still. For one terrifying second, she thought she had failed. Then, a soft hum filled the air. The screens steadied. The walls stopped shaking. The emotional storm outside the hub quieted. Just a little. It was working. Not perfect, but enough. The galaxy had been given a second chance. Rhea dropped to her knees, exhausted, but alive. Rhea stood slowly, her legs shaking. The core's new system hummed behind her, a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. The worst of the chaos had settled, but she knew it wasn't over yet. Draven was still out there. She made her way back through the hub's damaged corridors. People were calming down now, emotions slowly stabilizing. Some looked at her with hope, others with fear. It didn't matter. She had a mission to finish. She reached the command center and found Draven already there. He stood in front of the giant main screen, watching as reports came in, colonies reconnecting, systems rebooting, emotional surges dropping to safer levels. Draven turned when he heard her enter. "You did it," he said, almost in awe. "You rewrote the grid." Rhea kept her distance, breathing hard. "I didn't rebuild the old system. I built something new. A system that lets people feel, but keeps them from tearing themselves apart." Draven's face twisted. Sadness, anger, maybe even respect. "You betrayed everything we fought for," he said quietly. "No," Rhea said. "I saved it. I saved them." For a moment silence filled the room. Then Draven reached into his coat and pulled out a small pulse grenade. Rhea's eyes widened. If he set it off, it would destroy the core, and everything she had just saved. "Don't do this," she said, her voice low. Draven's hand shook slightly. He looked tired, older, not the monster she had imagined, but a man crushed by his own pain. "They have to be free," he whispered. "They are free," Rhea said. "Now they can feel without dying from it. You don't have to destroy everything." Draven's grip loosened. The grenade fell from his hand and rolled across the floor, harmless. He sagged to his knees. For the first time Rhea saw him not as an enemy, but as a human being. Broken, angry, lost. She knelt beside him. "I didn't do this to defeat you," she said softly. "I did it to save all of us, including you." Draven didn't speak. He just sat there staring at the flickering screens, as if trying to find a future he still believed in. Security officers rushed in and surrounded him. Draven didn't resist. He let them take him away, silent and hollow. Rhea stood alone in the command center, breathing slowly. The galaxy had changed. She had changed. For the first time in years, she didn't feel trapped by her own emotions. She felt strong, clear, human. The sun rose over the galactic hub, casting a soft golden light across the battered station. It was not perfect. Cracks still lined the walls. Some systems still flickered. But it was alive, and so was the galaxy. Rhea stood on the observation deck, watching the repair ships move like tiny insects across the hub's outer shell. Messages from across the stars flowed in. Colonies reconnecting, families reunited, ships rescued from the cold emptiness of space. The new system she built was working. It didn't erase emotions. It didn't force people to stay calm. Instead, it gave them a way to feel without collapsing the fragile world they had built. It gave them a choice. Behind her, Commander Soren approached quietly. "You did well, Rhea," he said. She smiled faintly. "Not alone," Soren nodded. "No. But you showed us the way forward." They stood in silence for a moment, just watching. Draven had been taken into custody. He would stand trial, but Rhea knew he had already lost his war. Not because he was wrong to want freedom, but because he had tried to force it through destruction. True freedom came from balance, from the hard work of facing fear and pain without letting it consume everything. She opened a comm channel to the entire galaxy. Her message would be short, but important. She took a deep breath and spoke. "This is Rhea Miles from the Galactic Hub. We have changed. You are free to feel, to hope, to grieve, to love. Your emotions are not your enemy. They are your strength." She paused, her voice steady and full. "We will rise together. Stronger, braver, human." She ended the broadcast and watched the stars beyond the window. There would be more challenges ahead, more struggles. But for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel afraid. Rhea smiled softly to herself. She had faced the darkness, inside and out, and found the light. The galaxy was ready for a new beginning. And so was she.